Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight I would like to introduce you to another one of the newer, quote-unquote, archangels, and that is Archangel Raguel. Some of the interesting images that I found on him were special, to say the least. But one of them that I just thought was kind of descriptive, and when I go through and describe his personality and what he does, it'll make more sense. But we'll start off just showing you this particular character here. This was an online image that I was found, but it's just showing that his power is very intense, but notice that it's over his heart and his third eye and his palms. So that should give you a fairly good idea of where we're starting off here. So we'll take that down. First of all, Raguel's name is Friend of God, or God shall pasture, which is interesting when you say pasture, but pastures kind of protect, take care of. When you are put to pasture, it basically means that you're being taken care of and you don't have to work as hard. So that's what Raguel's purpose is to help protect and guide us. He is an angel in the choir of principalities. So these are ones that deal with big world problems. You can call on him even for your stuff, or your day-to-day stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, this choir of angel works with international big, not so much international, but big philosophical, that's a better word, concepts. Raguel guides or is patron to, and this I thought was kind of interesting, works with landowners, farmers, laborers, and any form of leader. Now, this does not mean a person in a position of power. 90% of those people are not leaders. And yes, I'm calling them out because I've watched, I have experienced, I get it. They're managers. They are bosses. They're not leaders. Leaders are the ones who are in the trenches with the people, helping them understand this is why we do this. We're working to get a goal, but it's the person who steps up first. It's the person who can get the group together willingly, not through force, not through threat. That is a different class of people, but leaders, true leaders, are exceptionally rare, is what I have found. But it's interesting that it's landowners, farmers, and laborers, so it's basically the people who are doing work. Raguel's not one who guides or counsels those who sit in the office and type out memos. He's not the one that guides the philosophers, so to speak. If you're physically doing things to benefit yourself and others, you're building something, that's the people he's most aligned with. He shares rulership of Wednesday with Raphael. Raguel's weapon or tool, depending on how you see that, is a judge's gavel, but there's also a lot of images showing him with like Libra scales. So you can kind of pick your choice, but traditionally it's been seen as a judge's gavel. If you like to work with gems and crystals, the two angel basics, agates and quartz, preferably clear quartz. Agate is kind of what you can find and what resonates for the angel. You can also use amazonite, chrysocolla, I don't know why that one's always so difficult for me to say, golden calcite, onyx, smoky quartz, and tiger's eye. There's one that I'm not sure why, color-wise, they stuck this one in. The energy's gentle, and that's aquamarine. Tends to be associated with Raguel as well. And like I said, it's a gentle stone, which is confusing because the other ones are a little bit more like, in your face. But aquamarine does bring harmony to situations and environments. So I'm thinking that that's why they brought it in, is to help harmonize and the energies. Raguel tends to appear when you see him in meditation, or if you may happen to see him like corner of the eye. He'll see him in deep blue robes. His wings tend to be sapphire blue, shimmering like a gemstone. They catch the light, especially in the sunlight. When he appears, that's when you get the image closer to this. There's a glowing figure. But that's where you get those images, are from seeing him in the brighter lights. His energy field, his aura, because some people will see the energy and not actually see the physical representation. For me, it's always been the physical representations. So, I'm not sure what my problem is. His energy tends to be pale blue or brilliant white, depending on how you perceive him. And when I say brilliant white, be indoors all day, go outside in the sunlight on a fresh snowfield, that's the brilliant white. It's that, like, you can't see, you're backing up, your eyes are all watering and carrying on. It's that kind of bright. And it's not it's not painful. It's just super brilliant. Raguel's animals, if you want to go there, are the laboring ones, of course, because he is patron to the everyday worker. Horses, mules, donkeys, camels, cows, oxen, the ones that carry big burdens. You could probably throw, I just lost the name of them. Anyway, you can add, like, any of the beasts of burden, what you would classify as a beast of burden, can be tied to or energetically similar to Raguel. And if you are more more aware, attuned, there's a word, to dealing with animal spirits versus angels, Raguel could show up as one of those. That's not a common thing for him to do, but it is a possibility, just putting it out there. Raguel does have this obsession with order and hates to have anything filed incorrectly. He would not be okay with how I keep my paperwork. We'll just go there. Everything has to be sorted, filed, collated, dated, filed by date, filed by alphabetical within the date. Like, the people who do medical records would love him, because that's how he likes to organize everything. Like I said, that is definitely not how I run. Raguel tends to be very serious when he arrives. Not quite as strict as Uriel, where he just kind of stares at you like, what? But he's pretty serious, because the energy that he works with and his tasks given to him by the source of the universe make him a little bit more stern. And it doesn't mean he's angry, it's just that's how he appears. And the reason I say that is Raguel is known for handing out God's justice and vengeance. May not be the angel that you're like, oh, that one sounds so helpful, I really need that, and then you find that out and you're like, ew, wait a minute. There's a lot there. He believes in fairness, harmony, but interestingly enough, he also believes very heavily in the path of redemption. So if you have chosen to overstep, because we do have conscious choice and there's times where you shouldn't do it and you're going to do it anyway, he can step in to intervene and be like, whoa, hold up. There's times when you need to learn lessons. There's other times what you had planned on doing was going to trigger a drastic negative outcome that snowballs. And that's when he will step in and be like, nah, stop, we're not doing this today, fix it. But you can continue. You can even push past him and be like, no, I'm going to do this anyway. Just be aware, discipline is part of what he does. So, in a lot of ways, you could see him as the disciplinary father figure. That doesn't mean all the time, but if you're going to purposely do something that you know is wrong, the consequences are going to be handed out to you. Just That's the energy we're working with. Tough love is another way to look at him. He's not doing it because he hates you, that you've done something so vile. It's because he loves and doesn't want to see you get hurt, and since you chose to do that, there are consequences for your actions. So, Raguel is, interestingly enough, like most of the angels, not mentioned in canon. So the canon Bible, I thought I had it closer, this guy right here will not have any reference whatsoever to Raguel. But this particular book was edited so heavily to take out the angels that 90% of the angels that are out there are not referenced in there. So, and that's the ones that we have names for. Raguel, though, is mentioned in the book of Enoch, and he is one of the 7 who were set to watch. So, originally, however many thousands of years ago, before the fall, he was a watcher. That puts a different spin on his life. He is the 6th of the angels, so his number in the Watchers originally was number 6. Raguel is referenced with Sariel in 2nd Enoch as one of the angels who'd carried Enoch to heaven. There are some theories out there, and I poked around a little bit, and I can't find, trusted sources. That's where it gets a little hazy, but I'm putting this out here just because it was referenced. He is one of the angels that blows a trumpet in the book of Revelation. The theory, it believes that his name was removed to stop people from asking angels to intervene on the behalf of heaven, on the heavenly throne. In this particular role, Raguel is associated with the Church of Philadelphia, the Church of Brotherly Love. And that theory that his name is removed to stop people from asking is the reason all of the angels were removed from the canon that most Christians use today. I won't get into all that, but they didn't want you worshiping anything but who they said, the church. So this was their way of, thou shalt have no other God before me. They took out names of anything that could be construed as worshiping. When the angels were messengers, guides, and advisors, asking an advisor for help is asking a teacher for help. Their logic at the time was control, not anything else. Don't come for me. That has been proven. And like I said, we can go over that later, but not today. Raguel is sometimes seen as a heavenly constable, a heavenly sheriff, whichever side of the pond you're on. He keeps the fallen angels and demons in check. Swift discipline is handed out to those who cross the line. He would be a good one to call upon if you have dark forces that you're feeling oppressed by, or if you end up in a situation where the practice of exorcism is a viable next step. Raguel is another one to add to Michael when you're working in that environment. He also helps keep the Watchers on their path, so he makes sure that they are watching. Because the lore of the Watchers, and we'll talk about, I do want to talk about this because it's fascinating. At one point, several of them decided that humans were the greatest thing in the world and decided to start chasing tail. Raguel's like, no, you have a task. Your task is to observe and report. Interestingly enough, report to who is never said, but you are to observe and report. You do not interact, even though he is one of the Watchers who, after the fall with the process through Enoch and the Nephilim, he was actually elevated to a different class, so he actually has the authority to interact with us as humans. The Watchers were forbidden to interact. Does that mean that they didn't? No, because it wasn't a full ban. They still pop in once in a while. But that's where Raguel comes in and is like, no, you have a task, this isn't it. Get back up there. Raguel shows up in life when you're dealing with some kind of injustice. This is not emotional, oh, they hurt my fifis. No, we're not doing this. He's there when it's actual injustice. Things that are genuinely, morally, and ethically wrong. Not your opinion of it. And that is saying that as much to me as anyone else watching. He doesn't play in our politics or our theories of morals and ethics. He's talking universal, the stuff that comes from the heart of the Creator. He lends his strength to those fighting for the right thing. It has to be spiritually and morally correct. Again, not the random stuff that we put so much emphasis on, where this person's right, that person's right, this person's wrong. He doesn't care. He's looking at things from the broader perspective, the wider image. And with that being said, he shows up and helps us understand if we're paying attention. The one thing, little side note here, for me personally, is when I start getting too invested in a situation, whether it's at work, personal life, however, and I start to lose focus on other aspects of life, go to a spot where you can clear out your mind, get to meditation, and when you step back, set your ego aside and you step back and you look at things from the broader perspective, two things that I have found to be true in almost every person who I've worked with on doing this is A, the problem isn't that big of a deal anymore, and second, you almost always find a reason to laugh. Because when you step back and look at the broader picture, you're looking at this going, what was I doing? This little dot here doesn't mean crap. Look at what's going on. It's actually in a better situation than what you were originally focused on. So working with him to help you understand that broader picture takes you out of the situation, takes you out of, this is very upsetting, it's hurting my feelings, but is it wrong, or are you just having a moment? When you step back, you might be surprised how many of those just having a moments are happening. We all have things to grow from, so this has just been my experience with this type of energy. If you're feeling that you are in a situation and this is something that is unjust, as in you've put the work in, you have earned your stripes, so to speak, but you've been overlooked for promotion, for a job advancement, for whatever it is, or if you feel that no one is listening, because that happens to all of us. We all have those moments where you can jump up and down, scream, shout. Sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's not. And you feel like no one's paying attention, no one hears what it is that you're trying to communicate. And for the men that listen, this is really an emphasis for you, because most people don't listen to men. They don't want to listen to men. And when a man shows any form of weakness or frustration, it's immediately demonized. This is where Raguel can step in and be like, what's going on? What do we need to work on? How can we fix this? He's not going to fix it all. Notice the phrasing, how can we fix this? How can I help you understand what we're dealing with here? It's a joint effort. This is where he can help you see the broader view. See if you're being mistreated and being treated unjustly, or if it's something that's more minor and can be simply adjusted by a change of attitude. Because when we look at things from the broader perspective, he can show us if this is something that needs to happen for our growth, i.e., you already have the strength, now it's time to use it. Or if we need to move something. And there's times we have free will and we're still stuck in, this is what we're going to do, and he's going to step back and let karma kick us in the keister. So that does happen, unfortunately. And like I said, many years of doing this type of work, this inner work, this trying to understand things from broader perspectives, I've landed on my rear end more times than I can count. I don't dwell on that because I learn from each mistake that I make. There have been things that I've done in the past that were not the greatest, and now I actually know more about the angels and how they work and how the balance of the universe works. I was very upset when things have happened, but through working with the angels and working through this pattern, I've started to see there's been times, multiples, where I was in the wrong with my anger, my frustration, and that kick in the keister was a not so subtle reminder that you need to settle down. This is not how this works. You had your feelings hurt, but it actually wasn't an injustice. It wasn't actually a moral violation. It was you had your fifis on your shoulder and they got hurt. This is where you start to learn This is how you start to pick yourself up. This is where you start to understand that what happens in our little bubbles is not the broader picture. And how do you look at the broader picture? The broader picture will shift, literally, as we change and grow ourselves. This is some of the stuff that Raguel can help with. One thing with Raguel, and I've said this about a couple of the other angels as well, and other entities if you choose to work with some of these guys, is, especially the truth tellers, make sure you're ready to hear the truth. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't mean truth as in my truth, universal truth, the things that are actually there. Because there are some layers to truth, but the universal source-based truths, this is the stuff he brings forward. He's honest with you, and you may not like everything he has to say. And an honest, like, if you go to someone for a reading, tarot, energetic, or whatever, they will tell you what is being brought through, because that's what they're doing. They're channeling divine energy. It doesn't mean you have to like it, but there's a reason that they're saying it. If you listen with an open heart, which is something that I do recommend people go to readers of any form, and if you come to me, I'm going to pass through you what source and my guides bring through. That's up to you how you respond to it. You can see the truth of what he's saying when you're willing to actually pay attention and put your ego aside. The whole concept of slaying the ego is ridiculous. It's a tool. Set it aside. You don't need it all the time. And when you're in situations, when you're working with the angels and spirit guides, you definitely want to set your ego aside so you can actually understand what is being brought forward. When Raguel is being truthful, he does not do this because he's mean or to pick on you. It's to show you the truth of the situation. He's not always PC. Matter of fact, he never will be PC. Don't ask him if the dress makes you look fat. You already know the answer to that. Don't ask him. That's the type of thing that you're working with when you work with certain angels, and this is one of them. They don't care about your feelings. Your feelings are weird to them. Mine feelings are weird to him. You asked him a question, he's giving you an answer. Your response is like, what are you doing? Like, you asked. So be ready for that. When you reach out, and if you reach out to Archangel Raguel, he may not always communicate verbally, like I am speaking to you right here. A lot of the angels will start, especially when you're starting off on your path, or if your clairs are not woke up enough yet, and that takes time. That's not harshness, that's just a truth. It takes time. Pay attention to your dreams. Keep a journal next to your bed. I advocate for anyone who starts on a journey to keep a journal next to their bed at all times. When you first sit up in the morning, before you get out of bed, scribble. Just put your pen to paper. Put what you can think of, what you remember. Sometimes just putting your pen on paper, your hand will start writing and you have no idea what it's saying because your brain's not woke up yet. Your conscious brain. But he will also do it in those aha moments. You're driving down the road and it's like, you'll see a billboard with some random phrase that you've ignored 100,000 times, but for some reason that day it caught your attention and it's triggering a thought process. Pay attention to those, especially when you start working with Archangel Raguel. Over time, he may begin to more actively communicate with you. And this takes time. You're working on a relationship, as I've talked about in the prayer and meditation videos that I've done. You're not going to gain 100% open communication with any of these spiritual beings. They're there to support, but a relationship opens the pathway of communication, and that takes time. He may inspire you to new ways of meditation, new ways to pray, or he may guide you to a new sacred text. One of my favorite exercises, and this is weird to say, but I love going to physical bookstores. Amazon online stuff is fine, but when I have the choice, and I'm in a place where they have them, especially the mom and pop ones, not the big box stores, but like the little one down the street type thing. You go in there and you go to the spiritual section. Start there. Do not have a goal in mind other than what is the book I need to read next? Hold that intention. And then if you work with angels, you can ask Raguel or any of the other ones that we've talked about, show me the book that I should get next. And then let your eyes just kind of scan. Don't read titles. Just zip up and down the section. Notice the books that jump out at you. Inevitably, it's going to be a book that has something that you need to hear, read, or understand in it. And it's weird because most of the time when I've had this happen, it's been a book that I would have never bought in a million years. It's not on my radar. It's not my thing. One of the books that I've picked up over the years was Azrael Loves Chocolate and Michael is a Jock. It's not in publication anymore. It makes me very upset because I really did like this book. I still love this book. It's one I go back to frequently when I want to look at the angels. By the title alone, I would not have picked it up. And just, it doesn't look like a fun book. The title sounds like it's cheesy, like, what kind of thing are you doing to the angels here, kid? And I was looking for a book on some angels. I wanted to deepen my understanding. And so I was doing this exercise down a bookshelf. This book practically leapt off the shelf. Like, it stood out amongst, and it's a little book. Every other book was this tall, and like flashy covers and silver on the emblems or gold on the lettering and all this like catch your eye type stuff. Those were so bland I couldn't even pick them up. This particular little book, it's not that tall, caught my attention, and I ended up having a much better response to that one than the two other angel books I picked up that day, because that was the one that jumped out at me. So when you do this type of sacred text searching, you'd be surprised what may pop up for you. So just remember that if you're ever in a bookstore. Sorry, total tangent. Raguel can also encourage you working with longer periods of prayer and meditation, and help you deepen your ability to communicate and see broader perspectives. He can help guide you to the right courses, the right classes. Sometimes it's the right teacher. Sometimes it's the right person for the moment. You will be surprised, because there's times we'll be having a completely generic conversation. Someone will say a phrase or a sentence that triggers an aha awakening moment where some part of your spiritual life clicks into place. The conversation may have had nothing to do with spirituality, but because you were willing and open to learning and growth, the angels use a lot of different paths to help you wake up, to help you grow, and to help you develop. Raguel is a great one to help with that particular growth. So, on a little bit more positive note, because we're not really talking negative, but it can be a little intense working with Raguel. But one of his very much softer sides, as I said earlier, with the aquamarine working to help smooth out situations, Raguel can help heal and bring harmony to relationships. The Justice card from the Angel Tarot is a prime example. He's got scales and a sword, but he's standing between two pillars. He's holding up support and balance. And when you're in harmony, balance is a natural state. It's just what it is. He can guide you in mending an estranged friendship, or maybe there's a family member you've been at war with. Sometimes you needed to have that apart time to understand how that person fits into your life better, how you fit into their life. So sometimes relationships are to heal. They need to be apart so that you can process through that. If you and someone who are connected are having a rough patch, he can help you understand how to bring harmony back into that relationship, how you can find that balance in a better state. Also once, just because of the type of energy I'm working with here, when I was writing up my notes, he tapped me on the shoulder and was like, add this. This healing and balancing of relationships applies to relationships at work, coworkers, boss, employee, all of that, and finances to a lesser extent, because working with finances is still a relationship. Whether it's your personal finances, your paycheck money, how you respond to it, it's still a relationship that you're having. It's a communication style, if you will. So this is the type of stuff that Raguel can work with. And when I talk about him with the Justice card or any of the other aspects, in reality, it's helping you understand truth so that you can bring your life to harmony, to bring yourself, your existence into a balanced state. Because when you're in that flow, that balancing energy, and it's not something most of us can hold on to for too long because we get distracted by, life. But when you're in that flow and everything is balanced and everything is moving really well, the feeling of peace that settles, the world can be totally melting down. You're in that state of harmony and balance. You're bringing yourself into understanding universal divine truth. The world can fall apart because you know that there's something else coming. The chaos is because people are not willing to examine truths. They're not willing to examine their role in why their life is falling apart, because no one is exempted from how their choices are affecting their life. It's just how it rolls. When you can understand that, the angels' messages come through so quickly and so clearly that you don't have to worry anymore about, oh, I'm not sure if I heard the angel right. You'll know. Trust me. But when we tap into that energy and we start working with angels like Raguel, with Michael, where they're cutting away illusion, they're helping us understand our lives at deeper states. It helps us to grow and see that the chaos is not always random, because it's not. They can help you, especially Raguel, can help you see how your role in life can bring harmony or chaos. And he will show you, if you go down this path, these are the outcomes. Do you want to go chaos? Do you want to go harmonious? The choice is yours. And that's the type of energy he brings forward, is what do you want to build with your life? How can we make it smoother? Again, doesn't always mean it's a pleasant discussion, but it is a discussion. With that, we'll wrap up. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like on it, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, opinions. If you've ever worked with Raguel, I'd be delighted to hear about it, because he's not one you hear a lot about, but he is an angel that is good to work with if you're really wanting to understand the deeper aspects of life. So, yep, that's all of it. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day and week.